Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Est-ce que vous nous entendez? Les personnes, oui, je vois Chiara, Myriam qui font signe d'être lève. Euh, Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Donc, je m'exprime en français puisque nous avons notre interprète spécialiste qui nous connaît bien maintenant, Jean-Luc Villeneuve. Et donc, chacun pourra s'exprimer dans la langue de son choix entre le français et l'anglais. Alors, vous pouvez aller sur le Zoom et choisir le canal, le 1 ou le 2, en fonction de la langue. Donc, nous sommes ici à la Fondation de France et que nous remercions pour son accueil, en particulier Axel Davzac et toutes ses équipes. La Fondation de France est un des partenaires du forum One Sustainable Health que nous avons lancé avec le professeur Detlef Ganten, lorsqu'il était le président fondateur du World Health Summit. Il est aujourd'hui à la Fondation Virchow, qui est partenaire de cette session, qui se fait dans le cadre du Paris Peace Forum, dont le directeur adjoint est à mes côtés et va nous dire un mot. Donc, nous sommes dans une side event de cet événement maintenant annuel ici. Et notre thème,
Allô?
vous le savez,
Allô?
c'est le lien.
Oui?
Il
Vous
faut
m'avez appelé?
Monsieur, coupez votre caméra, s'il vous plaît, merci.
Oui, oui.
Nous sommes donc dans le cadre du Paris Peace Forum et de cette session qui est sur Next Generation for One Sustainable Health and Peace. Voilà. Donc, merci d'être de connecter, de bien couper vos micros, s'il vous plaît, sauf quand vous vous exprimerez. On a un certain nombre d'intervenants à distance. Et je vous rappelle donc qu'il y a un interprète entre le canal 1 et 2 pour choisir la langue de traduction. Je passe la parole à Gabriel Bulletin au titre du Paris Peace Forum pour nous dire un mot sur cette session de cette année et la vocation de ce forum annuel.
Merci Benoît et merci pour ces mots d'introduction et merci aussi pour ce side event. Donc c'est vrai que cette année, c'est la 7e édition du Paris Peace Forum qui a eu lieu pour son jour principal hier au Palais de Chaillot autour du thème Functioning Global Order. Donc on a eu un certain nombre de sessions sur des sujets variés, sur la résolution de conflits, sur la guerre en Ukraine, sur la situation au Proche-Orient, mais aussi sur les technologies émergentes, l'intelligence artificielle et sur la nutrition, qui était peut-être la série de sessions qui se rapproche le plus des sujets traités ici. On est très heureux, voilà, pour ce second jour, d'avoir une trentaine d'événements délocalisés sur l'ensemble de la capitale, dont celui-ci qui est la preuve de la bonne coopération entre les institutions françaises qui travaillent sur toutes ces questions de gouvernance. Et voilà, on pense que c'est important que ce thème soit traité aussi, et on espère qu'il aura toute sa place dans les prochaines éditions du forum qui a vocation à traiter toutes les questions de gouvernance mondiale. Merci Benoît et merci aussi à la Fondation de France d'accueillir cet event.
Merci pour ce mot d'ouverture et effectivement, nous verrons si l'année prochaine, dans l'enceinte du Paris Peace Forum, nous aurons, là on est un side event, un événement entier où l'on puisse parler du One Health, de la santé, dont nous savons que c'est un facteur de paix très important. Et c'est ce dont nous allons parler maintenant. Alors pour cela, je voudrais aussi dire un mot, remercier le professeur Detlef Ganten, qui est en ligne au titre de la Fondation Virchow, qui est un grand partenaire de ce que nous faisons ensemble avec le forum One Sustainable Health et avec la coalition One Europe for Global Health que nous avons lancée lors de la présidence française de l'Europe en 2022 et qui continue. Et nous serons la semaine prochaine à Budapest le 20 novembre dans le cadre du World Life Forum World Science Forum pour pouvoir évoquer à nouveau cet intérêt de l'Europe de la santé. Detlef, je te passe la parole. Je sais que tu comprends parfaitement le français, que tu le parles aussi, mais tu t'exprimes dans la langue de ton souhait.
Merci Benoît et merci Brian pour organiser tout ça et thank you very much au Paris Peace Forum pour donner l'occasion de se parler ici. I send you my best regards from Berlin and from the Virtual Foundation, and also for the World Health Summit. Mon successeur, c'est Axel Priest, le doyen ancien de la Charité. And he is as much involved as I've been as president of the World Health Summit and now the Virtual Foundation. So we are all on the same side in a way, and we are all in the same spirit. Let me say a few words about our philosophy and why we think this is so important. Health, of course, is something which everybody understands as important for himself, for his beloved ones, his family, and for society at large. But health is one of the Sustainable Development Goals. And the World Health Summit and also the Virtual Foundation have a holistic view on health. It's not just treating better those who are in need and who are sick, but we have to switch in our health systems from learning everything about diseases to prevention of health and maintaining health worldwide. We cannot wait until somebody gets sick and then try to help him wherever we can and however best we can. But we have to prevent diseases. Prevention is the name of the game. And to prevent diseases, we have to maintain a healthy nature. Without a healthy nature, we will not be able to prevent diseases. So all the Sustainable Development Goals should be and are part of our activity. And peace and justice is number 16. And I don't have to explain how important peace is not guaranteed. And we have to do everything, of course, and that's why we feel that the Peace Forum in Paris is such an important event. But at the same time, it's an event where health should play a major role, and we have to have this holistic view. We have founded this Virchow Foundation because Virchow is not the only one, but a very prominent person who lived about 200 years ago in Berlin, who understood, and at that time really that was completely new and in a way revolutionary, that if you care for sick people and if you want to do something for health worldwide, this is not just the task of a medical doctor. I'm personally a medical doctor, and see Miriam with a white coat, the Génération Europe, on her white coat at the Charité, Miriam, I guess. And so we have to have, as medical doctors, social responsibility. And this was the term which Virchow coined 200 years ago. And this Virchow, as a person, then realized that just pronouncing social responsibility is not sufficient. We have to be active politically. And Virchow actually was active politically in the state of Berlin, but also in the federal, well, at that time at the German nation and the so-called, and the German parliament. So this holistic view, I think, is something which we have to promote, include everything from taking care of the patient to do everything we can do to maintain health worldwide. The 80 billion people on this on planet Earth have to do that, have to have a chance to maintain their health. And this means that we have to work and make all efforts to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. Because that is so complex, we have to cope, and that's the challenge of the future, cope with complexity. This alone is trying to maintain peace at the Peace Forum, but the same for health and the same for all other Sustainable Development Goals. And one way to make complexity understandable is to personalize that. And this is the reason why we have initiated the Virchow Prize, which we will bestow every year the day before the World Trade Summit to a person, to a group of persons, or to several, up to 3 people who have done something important to maintain health, but also to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. And perhaps one example how we want to proceed is by when we bestowed the prize this year on Johan Rockström, who is one of the eminent climate researchers. And climate, as you all know, is Sustainable Development Goal number 13. And he described the planetary boundaries. What can the planet Earth take up? And when is the situation so bad that the boundaries are overwhelmed? And this is a scientific method to kind of see what climate can do to life on Earth and healthy life on Earth. And the other laureate is Lucy Gilson, who studied the health systems worldwide and what can the health systems do to help maintaining health at the global scale. So this is kind of the scope we have, and the World Trade Summit, of course, is a forum which has now been established after more than 15 years. We started in 2009, where everybody from science, academia, politics, private sector, and civil society come together and discuss in a strategic way, but also looking at specific problems which are successful and what needs to be done to achieve the common goal which we all have in our hearts. So thank you very much for organizing all this in conjunction with the Paris Peace Forum. I'm very happy that the One Sustainable Health Group with Benoit and Brian and all the others who are involved are engaged in such a visible way and hopefully even more effective than we have been in the past. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Det.
Over to
Merci,
you.
Detlef. Merci, Detlef. Thank you for this introduction and reminding us also what the Virchow Foundation is doing. And by the way, I saw yesterday that the World Health Summit is a partner of the Paris Peace Forum. So we see the strong link being developed. We have now the chairman of the foundation, Kofi Annan, Professor Assi, online. You are in London, and you take a few minutes to give us to share with us your view on these issues between peace and health. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peace, health, in other languages, path, and maybe in the region that needs it most today, salam and shalom. These are very short words with very deep meanings. And these are opening greetings in many, many cultures. And those opening words as greetings, often in many cultures, are followed with the question, comment va la santé? And in my country, it always goes together. Bonjour, comment ça va? Comment va la santé? So health and peace, go always, hand in hand. And I dare to say that there is indeed, no peace without health, and there is no health, without peace. When, I was leading the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, I witnessed the devastation caused by war, by conflict, on the health of people, on the environment, on fauna, on flora. Because often we see only the visible devastation that is the trauma that people are experiencing. And then we neglect, everything else that is happening on our planet by those conflicts. And then all of that together are contributing, to our health or are damaging our health. And some of them are visible, and then we are very good at treating them. Many of them are invisible. And many, many people in those contexts live for a long time and die with those many invisible wounds that fall in what we call and classify, as mental health, which too often coming as an afterthought when we talk about health, particularly, in those settings. Well, health is therefore a collateral damage, that we see in many of the places where we lack peace. And unfortunately, those responses, that have a health component as being even targeted. How many hospitals, are being bombed today? How many health posts that constitute in those settings the only place, that bring people together, where sometimes when you ask people what they have in common, when they lose everything, it is not very rare to hear people say, we are very close, we are relatives, because our children were born in the same health place. Well, even that place that it is bringing people together, that is healing, is often, targeted. And I think we need to then understand better the relationship, between the responses at all levels when we talk about health and peace, the human dimension, the environment, the fauna, the flora, but all simply put, the planet, the one and only planet we all share. Well, people in those situations, of course, we provide them with what we call humanitarian assistance. And health is always a big component of that humanitarian assistance. But what those people are really crying for, they cry for normalcy. Because it is not normal to live, in conflicts that are so protracted. We know when they start and we never know when they end. It is not normal, that children be born in a situation of refuge and then spend an average of 20 years, in that situation of refuge. That is not normal. It is not normal, again, in those settings, that the gains that we have made in child mortality, that we see so many children not seeing their 5th birthday. It is not normal, again, that many women in those very settings are losing lives while giving life. And those are the cry for normalcy that we can only achieve, through peace. And that's what people are crying for. They appreciate everything we provide, but what they cry for is normalcy. What they cry for is peace. We cannot achieve that peace, without strong leadership. And that is my final call. A leadership for peace, a leadership that cares, a leadership that will find solutions to the problems of today. But it doesn't just go alone. It has to come together with an active citizenship. We citizens, have to challenge our leaders, to find peaceful solutions to the problems. It goes also with the activism that our young people are reminding us every day, getting on the streets, to tell us that we have only one planet we share that we must protect, but we also have to live in peaceful conditions and environments. If you bring that together, my final call then is partnership. Partnership between leaders and citizens, partnership between rich and poor, partnership across all citizens of the world, but also partnership between this generation and the next one. Because what we do today is how can we contribute into acting today to have the future we want, a future that is peaceful, a future that is protecting humans, that is protecting environments, that is protecting the planet. And that is only in that perspective that we have health and peace together. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make this short contribution between two meetings in London, and look forward to continuing engaging with you. Over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the Kofi Annan Foundation. It was important to hear you in the introduction and to remind us, among all what you said, the question of the leadership for peace, leadership for health, that goes together. Thank you for taking time. I know that you are in a big meeting in London and you take a few minutes. Thanks a lot to you. We keep in touch to follow this. And now I'm going to leave the floor to the two moderators who are Anne-Sophie Stevens, Head Global Science Policy Unit at the International Science Council, and Brad B. Ricken, who is a coordinator of the coalition One Europe for Global Health at the Foundation, One Sustainable Health Foundation.
Thank you very much, Benoit. So I said that I would start out with a brief presentation of the event, and that's what we will do here, of actually what we do. So let me share screen. And by the way, just a comment to all the speakers, if you have a presentation, normally it is possible to share screen. So here we go, up. Normally you should see my screen. And here we are. There. So, next generation for one sustainable health and peace. What we like to say is you cannot have healthy life, plant, animal, or human on a sick planet. I think we'd like to say you cannot have peaceful, healthy life, plant, animal, or human on a sick planet. And we'll see that even more today. We had this beautiful introduction, no health without peace, no peace without health. Very profound, yet simple statement. What I like to say is that humans are the planet's microbiota. In the One Health concept of planet, animals, and human, humans are the ones who can impact on the health of the planet and on the ecosystem. And what we are trying to do in the foundation is to stimulate more and more humans to do good for the planet and the ecosystems than bad. And for this, we need to row together in the right direction. And that's essentially what we are trying to do, as Detlev says, putting together networks of networks to go in that way. I saw this yesterday and I sort of liked it. It's all about communication, both social and political engagement. Women in peace and security is a match made in heaven. I thought that was quite pertinent, and it was actually supported by a member of the European Parliament. In the foundation, we have two projects, the One Sustainable Health Forum and the One Europe for Global Health Coalition, in collaboration with the Virchow Foundation. We started our life with the One Sustainable Health Forum, which were 6 working groups comprised of over 80 experts from over 25 countries, of which 40% were from the Global South, working on topics that you see here, our impact that's on the environment, pollution, sustainable agriculture and feeding ourselves, global health, as well as healthcare access, governance for all, and finance, and above all, local practices, because it's not somebody in Europe who's going to tell somebody in South America what to do, but it's quite often that people from the global South come up with solutions that are applicable to the global North. Currently, we have 9 and soon to be 10 international working groups, 2 of which are represented here today. The working group number 6 of governance and policy with Catherine Urbez, and the One Health Next Generation with Chiara Gottarelli. The other activity, the One Europe for Global Health, was due to the fact that Benoit was asked by the French government to organize an event to gather together recommendations from civil society on how to reinforce European Health Union. And we essentially presented the results of this in a conference in February of 2022 under the auspices of the French presidency of the Council of the European Union. And what you see on the right side of this slide is Ole Peter Ottersen, who is one of our champions, along with Benoit and Babette Simon, presenting to mayors of the major cities of Europe. And what you see down at the bottom right is Benoit and Ole Peter presenting to, in person, the health ministers of the 27 member states. That was an event organized in Grenoble. They did the same with the ministers of foreign affairs. So the action of the One Sustainable Health Forum is to understand, advise, and operationalize. The One Europe for Global Health Coalition, along with Virchow, aims to compile and communicate the results and the discussions that are ensuing from these different activities to policymakers, enterprise finance, and civil society. Now, the idea is to share. This is a picture that I took from Juan Lubroth. I thank him very much. That's sharing the love, of course, among other things. But we share and expand the knowledge through the rotating presidencies of the Council of the European Union. We have gone to the Czech Republic, to Sweden. This is actually the room where the Nobel Prize is decided, to a fantastic institute of global health in Spain, IS Global, and in Leuven, at KU Leuven, where we actually had Peter Piot, who was the special counsel to the President of the European Union, participate in this endeavor. And as you know, this is a rotating presidency. The next one is Hungary. And we will be going on the 20th, presenting thanks to the Hungarian Research Network at the Hungarian Academy of Science in the context of the World Science Forum and the support of the EU for Health project. One final aspect that we do is we've learned from our actions over the years that there is a need to create a world network of One Sustainable Health Institutes. And we're going to be putting together a task force to do this. But we've actually communicated already in 2023, getting the idea, taking the temperature, and this year with representatives from 5 continents that you can see here at the World Health Summit, and Africa, China, Latin America, and the Caribbean, North America, Europe, and beyond. And we also had the WHO Academy, David Achuena, who was with us because one of the key aspects is training and education. So the idea here is that the World Network of One Sustainable Health Institutes is actually realistic. It's actually feasible because we're doing it already. People are actually doing they're doing something with One Health. They're doing, with the planet, the humans, the animals. And the idea is just to get them to come together with a common mindset for a common goal. And we've gone to several places. We're finishing in Budapest and Lyon in December for the quote unquote roadshow, so that we hope to get everybody rowing in the same direction. Thank you very much. And I would like to pass the floor now to Anne-Sophie to give us her tremendous institution that she is working with regard to the youth, etc.
Thank you, Brian. Can everybody hear me online? Okay, so thank you very much to the organizers for the invitation to join this conversation, which is very important and timely. I'll say a few words about the International Science Council, where I work, and then we'll kick off the panel with the experts that we have around the table and online. And it's great to see so many people also have joined remotely this conversation. So the International Science Council is an NGO based in Paris. We have a membership of 250 scientific organizations, which are academies of science in 140 countries, and then international associations on biology, on social sciences, across all the natural and social sciences. And that's been a very important base to tackle those kind of cross-cutting issues that we are concerned with today. Another important work that we do at the ISC is also providing scientific advice to policymakers, and with a focus on the multilateral system. You can see how important it is to have an interdisciplinary input into a decision making, and recognize in the first place that the issues we are concerned with at the international level also require a breadth of input and expertise. And it's not always actually easy to make the case for why we need to widen the spectrum of inputs. And a third aspect, which is also timely for our discussion today, focusing on young people and how the kinds of leadership that we need going forward to address these kind of issues, is to train young scientists in transdisciplinary research. So transdisciplinarity is bringing expertise across disciplines, natural and social, but also working systematically with non-scientists, so stakeholders across sectors to co-design and co-produce research. And it's an uphill challenge to actually organize science, training, education to incentivize this kind of research. So our panel today is very much forward-looking. We'll discuss how we need to cultivate and apply the holistic framings and understanding, and ultimately build new governance approaches to address, to achieve peace and security, and deliver sustainable development outcomes through one sustainable health approach. A couple of initiatives I want to highlight from the IC side. One relates to the need to build a transdisciplinarity base. We're currently working with universities and science funders to flip the science models, to reorganize the way we assess, build science and fund science, because it's still very much focused on silos, through calls for mission-oriented research that really are outcome-driven, understand what issues we need to address, and then foster the kind of science collaborations and partnerships that needed to address that. And a lot of the research and funding institutions still very much have a piecemeal approach to what is essentially, as we've heard already, interconnected issues. And the other dimensions I wanted to put on the table, and that's already been said around the need for prevention, is that ultimately we need to have a much more holistic approach that looks at prevention, anticipation, foresight, to look at issues on the horizon, to look at root causes of issues, to be able to have a much more comprehensive governance of those. And we've recently worked with UNEP, the UN Environmental Programme, for a foresight exercise that was framed around planetary health, to bring together those various drivers of not only environmental degradation, but how that combines with inequalities, with technological change, to geopolitical tensions, to actually put before us a new risk landscape that really requires a more holistic framing, as well as new ways of monitoring issues, doing risk assessments, risk analysis, and put in motion adaptive governance. So that's really needed at all levels. I've focused here on the international level, which is where I'm working at, but that's really a multi-level endeavor. So I'm really delighted to join you today and see the wealth of expertise that's around the virtual and the physical table, to co-design the One Sustainable Health and Peace Partnership Framework. So we'll launch into the panel discussion now, and I'll first turn to Catherine Urbaez, who is online, who is the Executive Director of the Health Diplomacy Alliance based in Geneva, and also a very active member of the International Working Group number 6 on governance of the forum. And she will highlight issues around the need for transversal approaches across ministries at all levels of governments, including also at international level with the World Trade Organization and also WHO. Catherine, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are pleased to collaborate in this event and other organizations. Special thanks to the ones Forum, especially Benoit, Casemiro, Juan, and Brian for this event. If we go a little bit back and we analyze the role of health diplomacy as a core role among others, is to ensure access to healthcare in conflict zones where sometimes health, or most of the times health systems often face severe strains. One of the components is also to protecting health facilities. It was mentioned the protections of health workers and how that preventive mechanism comes into interference into when there is conflict and when we need peace. So building these health systems, it takes builds long terms into the health infrastructures. And to support this system, one sustainable health crisis areas is essential. And it's essential not only for peace, but to foster collaboration and not only between governments and NGOs, but especially with local communities and among different sectors. Why? To build trust and to lay the foundation of the One Health priorities. And if we see one sustainable health is at the core of health diplomacy, but not only just to reinforce this coordination, but among the work within the organizations and beyond the organizations that you have mentioned, the quadripartite, which are involved into the One Sustainable Health, but also to build a system for collaboration to build that peace. But in this role, and specifically, how youth is involved in that. So we have seen that has been at the front of all the challenges that we're facing. Climate change, conflict, causing health, economic and environmental crisis, armed conflict as well. So there is a significant importance to have youth involvement in health and One Health governance to foster for peace. First, we need youth to build on global cooperation. First, to strengthen international collaborations among these organizations that are working on One Sustainable Health and across sectors, allowing not only governments, but institutions and community to work together. And we have seen that in terms of governance in the international working groups, as it was mentioned, the involvement of Jude in terms of not only designing the structure of One Health Sustainable framework, but also to be working on that from the very start. And we have seen it in different regions, how those structures, governance structures have been involved in youth, which is essential. And we have seen youth as part of crisis prevention, but also how to integrate youth within those policies. We have seen sustainable development. We have seen how those long-term health and environmental stability has been pushed by youth. And as a final thought, I would like to say that One Health governance not only provides a platform for youth participation and to empower youth leaders to contribute in initiative solutions in One Sustainable Health and environmental challenge and planetary crisis. But we have to call for action to integrate youth in One Sustainable solution and to build and grab peace as a global avenue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. We're going to go straight to Max Gigi Claron, George Grenville Claron, the project manager, health and environment of the French branch of the Bangladesh NGO Friendship. And I have to say he is a very dynamic member of the One Sustainable Health Foundation, because he was here at the start. And without him, we would not be here today. I think we can easily say that, Benoit, right? Because Benoit certainly couldn't have done all this alone, I can assure you. Yes. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Brian, for those kind words. And thank you to the organizers, so the Paris Peace Forum and the One Sustainable Health for All Foundation, for having us and me here today as a young professional. So I'm Max. I'm currently working as Health and Environment Program Manager for Friendship France. and hold other various positions as an advisor at the foundation, but also I'm engaged in One Health research with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and the Royal Vet College. I'm hopefully going to showcase how One Health principles foster not only collaboration as they're supposed to, but also how they can be integrated into a development model to foster solidarity on multiple levels. So just to start with and to remind everyone of the One Health definition, which aims to bring sectors and disciplines together for a healthier and sustainable future. This definition was drafted in 2022 by the One Health high-level expert panel that are supported by the UN quadripartite. And it clearly highlights that everyone and everything is interconnected, as in bold here. This definition is backed by 5 key principles, of which number 2 here I've highlighted with regards to why we're here: peace, socio-political and multicultural parity. And so this approach is seeing either existing tools or tools that are under development bring different sectors, disciplines, actors from all areas of society together with their respective definitions of what is health, what is sustainability, but also different methods of working and different beliefs. And as an example here, I've put the title page of my MSc thesis, where I had the opportunity to interview One Health experts on their definition and views of sustainability with the aim to develop a framework for sustainability using a One Health approach. And that was under the supervision of Osman Dar, David Heyman, and Pablo Alarcón Lopez. Moving away from the academic realm, I'm going to give you an example of a holistic project that is developed by Friendship in Bangladesh. So Friendship is a social purpose organization that was founded in 2002, and it now has projects all over the country, as you can see on the map here, in Bangladesh, across 4 key areas: saving lives, poverty alleviation, climate adaptation, and empowerment. All these areas are interconnected and integrated into the Friendship development model, which from the very beginning, back in 2002, had a strong focus on youth, children, and building a stronger next generation, whether that be through its child and maternal and child health services, but also through its education program, which brings mainstream national education curricula to isolated and rural areas of Bangladesh, but also to the Rohingya camps in Cox's Bazar, and a very insightful and exciting project that is being led by my colleague Anna, the Interconnected Schools program, which links young climate actors from Europe and Bangladesh. But I'm going to focus mainly on the mangrove afforestation project, which has multiple objectives, as you can see here, between carbon sequestration, but also the protection of coastal ecosystems and the reduction of vulnerability within local communities. And all these are made possible by local, national, and international solidarity. To begin the project, the local community and local authorities will sit together and draw a social awareness and protection map, as you can see in the top right picture there, where they'll map out all the vulnerable points within the area, identify where the elderly live, so that in case of a cyclone, they can be rescued and taken to shelter rapidly, but also identify areas within the ecosystem that need to be looked after, protected, so that they can develop, that will then bring them essential ecosystem services such as food. They can fish and crabs for their everyday lives. And this is all made possible by international collaboration, so international solidarity, because these projects are supported by international partners such as the French Development Agency, AFD, the Luxembourg Aid and Development Office, and also corporate foundations, of which the Fondation NG here in France is a partner. And all of this is brought to the international stage via the COP 16 recently in Colombia, but also my colleagues are now in Baku for the COP 29, for the climate COP. And other projects are under development, such as the Mountains to Mangroves projects, which aims to protect communities and ecosystems everywhere between the Himalayas and the Bengal Delta. Thank you for listening. I hope it gave you a very quick overview of how One Health principles can not only bring different sectors together academically, but also on the ground to bring real-time impact for communities around the world.
Thank you very much, Max, for the framing as well as the real world examples that actually show it's not just about complexity, it's about looking at the potential for co-benefits. When you have a much more holistic approach, you're actually looking at climate, ecosystem services, poverty alleviation, and you actually start to build a case for a much more integrated approach. So thank you very much for that.
Apparently there is someone maybe following online in this room. If you could put your microphones on mute. If you are following in the room, this would be greatly appreciated because there is an echo for the people listening. Thank you.
We'll turn now to Didier Bompang, who is Deputy Director of the One Health Institute for Africa at the University of Kinshasa, as well as Associate Researcher at the Laboratoire Chrono-Environnement at the University of Franche-Comté, as well as Ari Kayambe, who is Associate Professor also at the University of Kinshasa, the One Health Institute for Africa. I think you're both joining us online, so over to Didier to kick us off.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear us, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So thanks, Brian, for sharing your screen with our presentation. I'm here in Kinshasa with Professor Ari Kayembe. We are going to share our 6 minutes. Brian, if you are okay for sharing your screen with our presentation, please.
I would love to share my screen, but it won't be with your presentation because I don't have it.
Oh, I've shared it by email.
You can try from your computer if you wish, please, because I don't have the it has not come into my inbox.
So I'm sorry, I share with you and also Benoit. Nobody received it?
Yeah, I don't have it. Neither of us have it. It's probably too big. So please go ahead and share with your screen.
Okay, no problem. Let's do without that. So just our main message today. First of all, thank you. But if you allow, because there is a translation, I would like to maybe to switch in French to make it short and straight away. Donc, notre principal message aujourd'hui, c'est vous partager une expérience de travail dans la région des Grands Lacs, où depuis quelques années, cette zone qui est troublée par des épidémies récurrentes est également une zone de récurrence des épidémies de choléra. Alors, ces épidémies de choléra, aujourd'hui, surviennent essentiellement dans les principaux hotspots des conflits. Alors, depuis quelques années, nous avons entrepris de mettre en place un plan d'élimination du choléra, plan qui est basé sur une approche multidisciplinaire de compréhension des facteurs de récurrence de ces épidémies de choléra. Et ce plan est issu d'un travail de plus d'une dizaine d'années conduit en collaboration entre l'Université de Franche-Comté de Besançon et l'Université de Kinshasa. Les travaux qui ont été conduits pendant ce plan ont mis en évidence le rôle primordial des déplacements des populations et des conflits qui sont à la fois facteurs de redémarrage et aussi facteurs d'amplification des épidémies de choléra. Alors, le plan qui a été mis en place concerne un focus sur les zones de démarrage des épidémies de choléra, mais seulement pour mettre en place ce plan, il est important d'abord d'avoir une approche transfrontalière. C'est ainsi que depuis quelques années, malgré les conflits qui écument la région des Grands Lacs, il y a une vraie volonté des acteurs au niveau des différents pays de travailler ensemble. Donc, tout récemment, il y a eu une réunion transfrontalière entre le Burundi et la République démocratique du Congo pour adresser ensemble la problématique des épidémies de choléra. Plus loin que ça, lorsque il y a eu un déferlement des épidémies de choléra dans la région des Grands Lacs, il y a eu une grande réunion interministérielle à Maputo pour mettre en place une stratégie régionale du travail sur le choléra. Et cette stratégie s'est traduite aujourd'hui par la volonté de mettre en place une formation One Health interpays pour que non seulement les gens travaillent ensemble, mais aussi soient formés ensemble pour comprendre que ce n'est qu'en mettant ensemble les moyens et en dépassant les limites de frontières qu'il est possible d'agir dans la durée sur ces problématiques. Donc, c'est ici que je vais passer la parole au professeur Harry Kayembe pour vous montrer un exemple de ce qui est en train de se continuer parce que nous sommes une génération qui est en train de partir et la génération qui arrive embraye sur ce même chemin. Donc, ce que Harry va vous dire tout à l'heure, c'est l'expérience de la suite des travaux que nous avons commencé il y a plus de 15 ans avec nos collègues de Besançon. Donc, je passe la parole à Harry.
Merci, professeur. Donc, effectivement, suite à la collaboration interinstitutionnelle entre la France, la République démocratique du Congo et la Belgique, nous avons pu mener des études à la suite des études qui ont sous-jacent potentiel impliqués dans la propagation des épidémies de choléra, notamment en dehors des provinces endémiques de l'Est. Et grâce à cette étude, nous avons pu mettre en évidence une potentialisation de risques de propagation des épidémies de choléra en dehors de ces provinces, suivant une cascade d'événements impliquant successivement une exacerbation des conflits, suivi par une amplification ou une intensification des mouvements de population forcés, et enfin une amplification des épidémies de choléra. Et cette étude a permis justement de montrer l'impact des conflits sur les dynamiques de migration de population et les dynamiques de diffusion des épidémies de choléra, pouvant suggérer l'inclusion de la surveillance des conflits dans le système de surveillance intégré du choléra afin d'anticiper les risques d'expansion des épidémies de choléra en République démocratique du Congo. Merci.
Voilà, c'est tout pour nous. Merci à vous. Brian, je pense que votre micro est fermé. On ne vous entend pas. Nous, on ne vous entend pas.
Absolutely right. Everybody turned off the microphones so that we wouldn't get the echo. Thank you. So if you didn't hear me, Didier and Harry, I said thank you very much. With regard to the issue of your slides, you can please send them to us and we will share them with the participants, of course, after the event. I'd like to now introduce Janaka Jawawikarama, who is the Director of Research at the Center of Health and Wellbeing at Shanghai University in China. And he has a very particular experience because he's been in the field, in refugee camps, from disasters of natural origin and human origin. And he will be sharing his point of view and vision on One Health, sustainability, and peace as an integrated practice within human beings. So, Janaka, are you online? Yes, you are. There you are,
Yes.
smiling as usual.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very Thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Clearly.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. And I thank the organizers for this event. And when I was invited to talk, I quickly had various discussions with my collaborators in Asia, Africa, Latin South America, Europe, North America, as well as West Asia and the Middle East, or the Middle East, as we know, at the Research Center for Health and Wellbeing here at Shanghai. And so what I'm going to talk today is based on those discussions. So it's not just my ideas, but also my colleagues and collaborators, mostly some are in refugee camps, some are frontline humanitarian workers, and so on. And the ideas and thoughts I'm presenting here are for discussion and debate and dialogue, not necessarily as absolute truth, but this is a call for taking responsibility. Our responsibility defined as our ability to respond. So in that, imagine a world without insects, worms, or sunlight on this planet. Would probably have 12 to 24 months to live. However, imagine a world without human beings. We can well imagine that the planet would flourish. Actually, this is not just an imagination, but with climate change and related crises, we human beings are at extinction. We are at risk. We are at crossroads of survival, and if we do not collaborate with ourselves, each other, and with this planet, our future may not be that great. From this gloomy reality, I come to the experience that humans that call themselves or ourselves as beings have become arrogant, greedy, and exclusive. Although we are supposed to know how to be human, we have become highly incapable of living with ourselves, with each other, and with this planet. We continue to subscribe actions that are unhealthy, unsustainable, and violent, which harm ourselves and rest of the planet. According to the definition of the World Health Organization, One Health can be understood as an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of human beings, animals, and ecosystems. In that, I strongly argue that health, sustainability, and peace are interconnected and interdependent practices. For example, half of our breathing apparatus is within ourselves, which we call lungs, and the other half is outside to our bodies, and we call them trees. What we exhale, trees inhale, and what trees exhale, we inhale. When we understand that all living beings and non-living things on our planet are all part of ourselves, then there is no need to examine health, sustainability, and peace as separate concepts. According to the understanding of most ancient philosophies from Asia, Africa, Latin South America, and West Asia, or the Middle East, health, sustainability, and peace cannot be realized as external achievements. We cannot build peace, achieve sustainability, or maintain health only through externality. Of course, external inputs and contributions are important. However, health, sustainability, and peace must be practiced within human beings. Also, the ancient understanding is that peace and sustainability are fundamental conditions to optimize the health of human beings, animals, and ecosystems of this planet. Here's another perspective. According to Ayurveda, the ancient science of life from the Indian subcontinent, health is physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of the individual who is capable of establishing harmonious relationships with themselves, with each other, and with natural systems and processes. This is the fundamental practice of health, sustainability, and peace. These practices can only be realized within the implementation of humility, contentment, and inclusivity with compassion and care for everyone and everything surrounding ourselves. In that, we must facilitate our next generation to become humble, content, and inclusive beyond the physical limitations, social boundaries, geographical divisions, and removing human civilization from the natural world. May all living beings and non-living things be well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Janaka, also for highlighting that holistic thinking is not new and is actually shared by many culture and many worldviews. So I think it's also about nearly a philosophical posture that I think it needs to be foregrounded again. We'll invite now Chiara Gottarelli, who is a medical doctor and resident in public health at the Léon Bérard Cancer Center in Lyon, and also co-chair of Working Group 9. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is a true honor to be here today. So thank you very much for this kind invitation. I really appreciated the previous presentation since we have several points in common. And One Health Next Generation Working Group, we firmly believe that peace is inherently connected to justice, and justice is inseparable from equity. Equity is one of our core values, driving us as we amplify the voices of young professionals, with One Health approach serving as a bridge, fostering understanding and cooperation while ensuring inclusivity and representation. So for us, health is equal to well-being, and we are guided by Gandhi's quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." We view diversity as richness, as it should be, and value indigenous knowledge as a critical component of our work. So our work, our group, basically serves as a safe space for constructive, critical discussion around One Health. We felt this space was really needed, especially in current society, and I would like to heartfeltly thank Casemiro for his commitment and support in shaping this community. So we focused on two fronts. Internally, we share the advancement from other international working groups. And well, for what concerns the outside of One Sustainable Health for All Foundation, we share updates and feedbacks on events attended, publication, opportunities, and so on. So you can see the core values guiding us, being health equity, balancing input from different professional profiles, and highlighting voices of diverse communities. As far as proposed outcomes and outputs are concerned, we wish to bring our perspective to each international working group and fostering collaboration whenever possible. We also want to formally express our opinion on relevant issues whenever needed and raise One Health awareness among our peers. The way we would like to make this concrete is first and foremost, as I said, through active discussion, because we really think that is the tool that allows ideas to flourish. We then use system thinking and brainstorming to shape our ideas into equity solution, and we can eventually publish them through position or opinion papers that can also be shared on social media during key moments of the year. We are also thinking of making awareness-raising videos that will just continue the cycle, bringing more discussion, and so it goes on. Currently, we accomplished our terms of references, and we are working on strengthening collaboration with the other working groups. We are planning to do a brainstorming session to identify the common points and key topics to make sure that each interest that may arise from individuals is aligned with what the group wants. Concerning next year, we would like to publish a position paper commenting WHO Youth Council Declaration before the end of the year and update the One Health Students Alliance list of One Health formations before the first trimester of next year. We are also under process to make some publications collaborating with the other international working groups, and we are open to publish opinion papers on a relevant topic of interest. So here are the main members of the group. We are currently under reorganization to include the new people we met in the Dakar forum we had. As I said, inclusivity and representation are central to our mission, so I invite you all to join in shaping the future of One Health. Here is my contact information, so I really hope to receive some messages from you so we can be as inclusive and representative as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chiara, for a very dynamic and clear presentation. And that's quite a full plate that you have, and we are here to help you achieve all that, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Li Yushan, or Yushan Li, depending on how you wish to pronounce it. And it's probably wrong in either case. She is a master's student at the University of Geneva, working, and also a livestock data specialist, intern, if I've understood what Juan has said, at the FAO in Rome. And she'll present her focus of her studies, if I am not mistaken, on Lake Chad and how One Sustainable Health approaches are implemented to start to address the combined impact of climate change, armed strife, and human suffering.
Thank you, Brian. Actually, my name is Yushan Li, you pronounced it correctly, and I'm currently a master's student from One Health Unit, Institute of Global Health, Faculty of Medicine of University of Geneva. I'm also working with the working group 9 on One Health in humanitarian settings, developing tools like stakeholder mapping to help humanitarian organizations for their response to disasters. I used to be the intern with FAO. Now I'm a livestock data specialist working on global livestock environmental assessment. And thank you very much for introduction and for the opportunity to speak here today. And please let me share my screen. So, as you can see, currently I'm working on the Lake Chad Basin region, focusing on human-animal interactions in refugee camps. Through our work, we aim to understand how these interactions affect the health of both people and animals in displacement settings, and to identify the key stakeholders involved in supporting One Health approaches to these complex humanitarian challenges. So the Lake Chad Basin, as many of you may know, sorry, just let me share it. Yeah. As many of you may know, it's a region deeply affected by the border conflict, climate challenges, and resource scarcity. So with great numbers of displacement people here, the relationship between human, animal, and environmental health is highly intertwined. So in the refugee camps or refugee locations, people live in close quarters with animals, making human, animal, and environmental interactions inevitable. So these interactions bring both health risks and opportunities, particularly in a context where healthcare, sanitation, and clean water are already limited. So the main question we are exploring is how human-animal interactions in these humanitarian settings affect health outcomes. In refugee camps and locations, animals often provide essential resources and income, especially to households that have lost their livelihoods due to disasters and displacement. But these animals can also contribute to disease transmission, malnutrition, or increased resource strain, particularly when animal and people share limited food and water resources. And we think that's where One Health comes in as a driver for peace that incorporates the human health, animal health, and environmental health. We think the One Health approach promotes health as an interconnected framework involving human, animal, and environmental dimensions. And that's why we want to apply the stakeholder mapping with One Health approach, as I'm currently conducting with the working group 9 to understand who plays a role in addressing health challenges and who is missing, who can be engaged in the further response. And in Lake Chad Basin, this includes humanitarian organizations, government agencies, local communities, and even informal networks of camp residents. Each of them has a role to play, from delivering food and veterinary care to provide clean water and health service. However, they often operate in isolation, which weakens overall effectiveness. So through One Health stakeholder mapping, we want to review those gaps and the overlaps, guiding all actors to work together and reduce the duplication of efforts. And an important part of my work here has been engaging with young generation, local students from DeFi University in Nigeria in this process. These students who often speak local languages and understand the cultural context are essential to bridging communication gaps between different stakeholders. And by involving young people and students directly in the stakeholder mapping exercise and on-field interviews, we are not only empowering them with those critical research skills, but also helping them to have a vision of a health that goes beyond the absence of disease, because it's a foundation for peaceful and resilient communities locally. So as we consider it in future, we find that the One Health approach demonstrates that health is not just a fundamental right, but also a catalyst for peace. And the case study in, or let's say, exercise in Lake Chad Basin, and then maybe beyond, we want to invest in comprehensive health solutions, and so that we can invest in a peaceful and resilient future for the regions backed by the complex climate disasters and other issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yushan, for your insights. Very interesting. We'll now turn to the last panelist, and then we will open the floor to all of you for your comments and questions to all. We'll have, I think, 5 to 10 minutes for that, hopefully. So last speaker is Miriam Meyer. Miriam works at the Generation Europe 2024. She's calling from Berlin. Yes, you're on the screen. Welcome. Over to you.
Hello, thank you everybody, and merci beaucoup au Paris Peace Forum et aussi aux organisateurs et modérateurs de nous accueillir. So my name is Miriam Meyer. I'm in fact a medical student currently in my clinical rotations, and I don't work at the Génération Europe, but it's a project that I'm involved in as in my free time for advocacy, for also for the One Health approach. So let me shortly introduce how I come to the One Health and health in general. So I'm a medical student, and for me, health is not just medicine, but it's more than it. It is part, of course, medicine plays a vital part of it, but it's also about how we design our policies, how we shape our societies. But it's also to design how we design our living spaces, or how we interact with the environment and the environment affecting us as humans, and simply how we live our everyday lives. And this is why we from the Génération Europe, which is a young leadership program of French and German young professionals and students from the age of 18 to 35, have engaged into this topic in in this year's cohort of 2024. So let me shortly introduce the Génération Europe to you. So the Génération Europe is a program launched by the French president and the German federal chancellor in 2023 on the occasion of the Élysée Treaty to aim and to select each year 24 young professionals from 18 to 35 from all different kinds of fields. So there are students in medicine, there are students from other fields, but there's also teachers involved, people from the public sector, from the private sector, from academia, from research. So it's really a heterogeneous group, and who we are working together on topics. For example, this year's topics have been so One Health, of course, but other topics have been the cultural interconnectedness of Germany and France, young professional exchange across borders as well. And yeah, so we have been, over the course of the year, we have been engaged with stakeholders, with politicians in political reflection. We have been talking to experts, taking part in panel discussions, and also we have written a concept paper, for example, on One Health, on World Health Institutes, together with the One Coalition for Health and the Virchow Foundation, that we also presented at the state visit to Macron and Steinmeier, so the president of France and Germany, together to advocate for a One Health approach, but also for common structures in Germany and France, and on a broader sense in Europe. So this is what we have been doing, and it's really interesting because our group is a group of people coming from all different kinds of sectors. So I'm, for example, taking part of the medical, or I'm the medical part in the One Health subgroup, the sub-working group. But there's also people from the transport sector, from architecture, from biomedical research, and we are all together involved into a One Health approach, because we think that this is what the future needs, especially as young people wanting to live in a sustainable future. And we also think that it's important to have the transdisciplinary approach in different levels. So of course in our everyday lives and professional works, but also in education, in research, in society, and on a political level also as well in the EU. And that's what we aim to do with the Génération Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You gave a very complete and elegant description of how One Health, or health, permeates all aspects of life and society. And I think that's a lesson to be, a take-home lesson, if I may say. So we can now, we're actually not too far off schedule. And Benoit says we can go a little bit over. So we're going to open the floor now for questions. And if questions, I hope somebody can handle the questions perhaps coming through the chat. There is a question from Dr. Adita Kniv now. Okay, please.
Hello, sir. I'm Dr. Aditya KNV. And my question is, I hope my voice is clear, Professor?
Perfectly.
Yeah. My question is regarding the how can we reduce the knowledge gap between the expert and between the young passionate researcher? Because I always see that knowledge gap between the expert and passionate researcher, how can we reduce it? Because the experience which an expert can bring and the passion which the young scientist can bring, my only question is how can we reduce this gap? If we are able to reduce this gap, and if we can have this fruitful collaboration between an expert and a passionate young researcher, it will do wonders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not quite sure if anybody in the panel would like to respond to that question. No, not I. I'm definitely not an expert. So, is there anyone in the panel? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can I it's not an answer per se, but I think this idea of the expert and the person in the field is actually a myth in most cases when it comes to especially in resource poor settings. So because we can't really ignore a woman who is running a family of 12 people with less than $1 a day. And her expertise cannot be learned at a university or in any scientific lab. So in that, I think what we need to understand is how do we collaborate with the scientists, social scientists, communities, and everybody as equal partners. I think that's what we need to think about. And this is my suggestion and a proposal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It has given me an idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Daneka.
I would also give a short comment on that because I think this is kind of one of the most important parts of making the One Health perspective not a discussion among educated or people already in that field, but like making it really an approach that is mainstream and understood by everybody. And I think for this, we really need to foster collaboration among people, but also on different levels. So engaging with students, for example, engaging with public society, engaging, like really not just making the discussion on a meta level, but targeting also the aspects that are important for every person in the One Health perspective. For example, it's such a transdisciplinary idea, and we have every people on board actually, because health is affecting everybody. But also, for example, we in a generation have discussed about in architecture, for example, architects, they are designing living spaces and cities, how we live in, and this is also affecting everybody. So starting from all levels, I think this is what we try to do with the Génération Europe, to really engage with everybody from all different kind of sectors. But I think this is also the way we need to go in order to make it a topic that is understood by everybody, and not just understood, but making it like really, of course, like we can't not think about the one sustainable health approach when we do this or take that decision. I think it just needs to flow naturally with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Actually, Ole Peter Ottersen had said that he wants, here we're talking about One Health, before we were talking about animal, human, planetary. He says in 5 years, our objective is to just talk about health, because then everybody will understand. It will mean One Health in a sustainable manner. One question, you're talking about getting the information across. Did the presidents listen to you when you were talking to them, Macron and the German Chancellor?
So during this visit in May, this year, we got the chance to meet the two presidents, and we have been invited for a lunch together with the presidents, but also their spouses. And during that meeting, we discussed 4 different topics that we presented to the presidents. And for example, I was talking especially to Macron, because I also speak French, and for me it was really important to do that, because I saw that he was really interested into the topic, but also into the approach of how young people see it. We think as the young generation are the important topics of today and tomorrow. So yeah, definitely there was a lot of interest also coming afterwards from people from the offices advocating, asking for more information about it. So I feel like there is raising interest in this topic, and I hope it also will continue to stay like that.
Thank you very much. Max, you have something you'd like to say?
Yes, thank you. And it's to come back on something Janaka was saying. Friendship has an innovative model in the sense that it's an organization from the global south that works with the communities and frames local communities as experts. So using, it's true that there is a lot of discussion around who is an expert, whether we're in academic or field setting. But when, for example, if I come back to the mangrove afforestation project, the experts are the local communities and the villagers who will design and designate, a local caretaker who knows about the mangrove cycle, who will protect them, and who will then speak with the local authorities about how they're evolving, the impact they're having on the local biodiversity, etc. And so it's our role as the French antenna of the Friendship Network to then bring that knowledge and that way of practice to international donors, corporate foundations that are our funders, and show them how this bottom-up approach can be, has a sustainable impact.
Very much. Are there any other questions from the floor? So I have a comment, because in the beginning, in the documents that we sent to stimulate this conversation, there's a sentence in italics in the topic. This forum offers the voice to the next generation who will inherit the future the current world leaders are presently shaping. Now, there is a current world leader in the making. He has 2 months before he takes office. We're talking about the United States, Donald Trump, the election in the US. Do you, the youth in the panel here, see the possibility of influencing that type of world leader? And if so, how? That's a big question, but I think it's interesting, and try and come up with a short answer if you can. And I don't know who among you would like to go first, but the floor is yours. Again, how would you influence such a leader who says, climate change, that's the thing of scientists. They don't know what they're talking about, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, women? I'll protect them. Okay, so if you have a comment, I'm sorry, I already said. So if you have a statement, it would be with great pleasure. And if you don't, you can say I don't. Oh, we have Max over here. Go ahead, Max.
I'm gonna maybe dodge the direct answer a little bit, but be very One Health in terms of we need to prevent that from happening. And so if that is still happening today, it means that citizens around the world, in most cases, are voting for people with those values. And that means that the main messages around why we're having a climate issue, why we're having social issues around the world aren't being understood, or at least disseminated to populations. And so this is where education comes in terms of showing the clear examples that are happening today of climate change. I think the US, for one, have just seen hurricanes all over Florida, but it doesn't seem to be portrayed as human-induced climate change impact. And so I think that's where, if you can bring that awareness to the population, to citizens from the very beginning, so this is primary school stuff, then you should hopefully prevent such leaders to make it to power.
Can I have a minute?
Hang on. Yes, let me remove the spotlight. Who is speaking?
Dr. Aditya, sir.
Yes.
Can I have a minute? So what I feel is, I echo with Max Claron. The only thing what I feel is, we should have the more holistic approach. Our voice should reach the high level, and our voice should reach the grassroots level. Like I come from India, I am from Chennai. So I see that the grassroots voice should reach the international level. We should use all this our social media. We should use all the collaborations. When they understand that our collaboration is strong and our voices are strong, it should reach to the political level. Even how much ever we have our discussion over here, we should have the social media. We should use the social awareness. I just tell you the one small example. Today being the World Pneumonia Day, we are the part of the Nemo light, where we were supposed to put the blue light to our building. But here in India, they were telling that what happens if I just put a blue light to a building? Who will see and who will approach? Our health community and all the aligned sciences should have a collaborative research so that our voices should hear strongly to a leader who is having this type of approach should be even skeptical when he was telling about this thing. He should think at least once before giving such a strong statement. This is just my small suggestion from my side. Thank you. I'm open to hear.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Are there any other inputs on that particular question? Catherine, I see your hand up, and then Chiara.
Yes, I think as a remark, I think it's important to understand that our leaderships are, they have considerations of certain aspects, and sometimes we cannot take it for granted that they understand the science. Sometimes the priorities is not there, and it doesn't align what we need as in terms of science. But I think the best way to engage with them is to let them understand what are the urgent threats and the solutions. In terms of governance, as I mentioned before, is important to demonstrate what are the success stories in terms of One Health governance. And one aspect that is quite important to highlight is the emphasis of the economic benefits of implementing One Health. And that is something that they take in consideration when taking decisions that are political sensitive. So I think is a lot to understand, to educate, and to advocate for One Health and to be part of what is the political structure in each region or in each country. Thanks.
Great, thank you for that input. Chiara?
Well, of course, a very tricky question, the one you asked, Brian. In my opinion, both of the approach that have been highlighted by Max and by Dr. Aditya should be used, because we already have plenty of reports telling what should be done, but we struggle to be listened to. So I think we should firstly analyze our public, just like in every communication. So what affects him directly, or what is nearly next to him, his direct interests. I think that could be something he could listen to, and making the accenting the fact that future is now. Today's choices shape what world would look like in 1 month or 1 year. So make him understand that not acting or doing some kind of action today will lead to this in 1 year. That is sure, and we can use to give power to this kind of affirmation. There are recent examples of, just like you said, climate change and everything. And at the same time, we as a scientific community, we think we need to work to make, as Charlotte Marchandise said, make public health sexy again. Make data sexy when we present that. Rather than incomprehensible or boring or whatsoever. So I think we need to do a parallel work following on what Dr. Aditya said with community, to let community understand the importance of One Health, raise awareness once again, so that the voice of community would be so strong in asking for that, as Dr. Aditya said, he must at least think twice before doing something, or since all in all, politicians tend to look for re-election and this kind of things if this is what the population asks again and again. they will need to take that into account. But in my opinion, if we continue with the current approach, oh, you should think about women, or you should think about the most unfortunate and everything, I think that will not give us any result more than what it has already provided. Thank you.
Thank you for that insight. Is it politically correct to say making something sexy? I don't know nowadays. I'm not really sure.
I'm
but
not
I like the
supposed to
idea.
be politically correct, and if you want, I prefer
good.
to shake things. And I repeat that this is a sentence I quoted. I do not want to take credit for something that is not my idea, but that is the thing. We even have conferences. We see people sleeping or on their phones. Our attention span is really low nowadays because of current societies. So, you know, I really like that expression because I think it's just gives leaves an impact. Exactly.
Of course.
Now,
That's what makes it. That's what makes the world go round. Yusan.
Thank you. Yeah, I do agree with Catherine's insight and thought. For sure, leadership at a high level may have a profound impact on global initiatives like One Health, climate change, and development programs. I think what the young leaders or young experts in science and policy can do is leveraging evidence-based science and advocating for cross-sector collaborations. So providing the real impact, the real story at the table, may make it, more powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's one other person, I think.
Thank you very much. Yes, Miriam, and then we will wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would also agree with Chiara's comment, and I would further develop it to maybe say, like, make the One Health choices the one that are like logical and convenient as well, in order to make those political political decisions. And I think it doesn't need to be the inconvenient or something out of the box, but rather like making it normal, mainstream, and the most convenient and logical choice. I think that's making it simple.
Thank you, Miriam, and everyone for your further insights on that provocation. Before we turn to Benoit Miribel for closing, Brian, there's a quick question for you in the chat about how to join the network, the One Sustainable Health Network. Can you address that one?
Yes, send us an email. That's the quick answer. Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the panel who would like to make a closing statement? I saw Andre. You're not in the panel, but you had your hand up there, Andre. Would you like to say something? Or was that just a mistake? Okay, we're at the end of our rope. I'm sorry to say. So Andre, you can send us an email and we'll be able to perhaps answer your question if you have one. I will now pass the floor to Benoit to wrap up this event, and thank everyone who has been on the panel and asking questions and giving their opinions for so doing. Benoit.
Merci à toutes et à tous. Je voudrais d'abord en profiter de parler en français puisqu'on a un interprète, Jean-Luc Villeneuve, que je remercie. Remercier tous les panélistes de leur intervention, d'avoir pris le temps de préparer cette session, de remercier les deux modérateurs qui sont avec nous, Anne-Sophie Stevens et Brian Rudkin, de ce travail. Vous remerciez aussi les participants qui sont là et en ligne. Ça démontre qu'effectivement, on a besoin tous ensemble de travailler cet enjeu bien sûr la paix. On est dans le cadre du Paris Peace Forum et que pour la paix, il nous faut une bonne santé. C'est tellement évident qu'on l'oublie. On oublie les investissements nécessaires et que finalement, ce que l'on appelle, qui a été défini par nos scientifiques il y a 3 ans, le One Sustainable Health, approche One Health, conjuguée avec les ODD, ce cadre international, où on s'attaque beaucoup avec ce forum au 17e, celui de travailler ensemble, acteurs publics, privés, qui n'est pas facile. Ça montre effectivement que la nouvelle génération a des enjeux. Alors, il faut toujours rester optimiste, hein, même si effectivement, ça a été dit par nos panélistes, on connaît le tableau sombre actuel et réel des conflits majeurs, de tout ce qui frappe des millions de personnes qui ont besoin de solidarité avant même l'équité, parce qu'elles sont dans une assistance terrible. Donc, tous ces problèmes qui vont frapper des générations pour longtemps, dans tous ces conflits. Et on nous a rappelé à travers aussi l'exemple à Kinshasa avec Didier et Harry que dans les contextes de conflit, l'insalubrité, c'est-à-dire la non-santé, frappe très vite et très fort par l'eau, par les maladies, par tout ce qui se répand. Donc la preuve, elle est là. On la connaît, elle est scientifique et effectivement, ça nous a été rappelé aussi par le président de la Fondation Kofi Annan, plus il y a la paix, plus il y a une bonne santé pour les populations. Et plus il y a une bonne santé mentale et physique, plus on peut penser qu'on a envie de faire la paix pour profiter de cette vie. Alors, ce point-là montre aussi que, et ça a été dit par un certain nombre de panélistes, parce que je ne vais pas revenir sur toute la description qui fait la preuve, je crois, qu'il y a un lien très fort entre la paix et la santé, et avec bien sûr cette approche One Health, One Sustainable Health, que les ODD sont un cadre international qui a mis du temps à émerger. C'est récent, finalement, c'est depuis quelques années. Hein. Il y a 30 ans, il n'y avait pas d'ODD. Avant ça, il y a eu les axes de 2000, les objectifs du millénaire, ce qu'on appelait. Puis, donc, on voit qu'il y a une structuration internationale de l'approche de nos besoins communs, des biens communs et de leur action. Et effectivement, parmi les points qui ont été soulevés, il y a celui du lien ascendant ou descendant et entre les grandes décisions politiques et le communautaire, le village, la cité. Et nous en parlions hier soir au cocktail du Paris Peace Forum, entre des diplomates et des personnes qui sont aujourd'hui dans des villes qui s'occupent aussi des réalités du One Health, finalement, de l'approche une seule santé. Donc, il y a ce lien et nous le cultivons ensemble par le temps que nous prenons. Et je vois en ligne beaucoup d'experts et ils savent qu'ils sont débordés. On est tous débordés. On est débordés par notre travail, on est débordés par nos amis, notre vie, notre famille, mais on prend le temps de s'interroger sur ce que l'on fait et quelle est l'incidence sur ce qui est à côté et qui est connexe, parce que nous sommes connectés. Il nous faut ces verticalités en connaissance, mais il faut la prise en compte de l'effet. Alors, c'est tout le travail que nous faisons dans le forum One Sustainable Health avec les groupes de travail internationaux. Brian Rudkin les a présentés et avec aussi la coalition One Europe for Global Health qui permet à des acteurs de faire un plaidoyer, de pouvoir porter cela. Je vois dans la salle Jocelyne Arcambourg qui organisait la semaine dernière à l'école polytechnique cette session aussi avec votre jeune génération. C'est l'enjeu des leaderships et les leaderships, ça passe par l'éducation. L'éducation au niveau des communautés, au niveau international, au sens formation, appréhension des enjeux. Alors pour terminer, moi j'ai un message pour nos amis du Paris Peace Forum, et notamment le directeur adjoint qui est avec nous et qui a ouvert, c'est nous espérons que l'année prochaine, dans les séances plénières du Paris Peace Forum, la santé, le One Health, les ODD ont déjà leur place. Ça, nous savons, mais nous serons là avec vous pour travailler cet aspect de la santé, je dirais au sens large du terme, et pour contribuer à le faire prendre en compte davantage. Et pour ça, nous savons que la jeune génération internationale est là. Nous savons que des journalistes, je salue notamment aussi Dominique Leglu, qui nous suit depuis le début, Forum, Voilà, c'est science à venir, c'est aussi la recherche, c'est challenge. Et nous avons besoin, ça a été dit, de la presse, puisque au final, tout part de la connaissance. En tout cas, notre dynamique du forum part de la connaissance du scientifique pour aller vers l'action. Et c'est vrai que pour répondre à une des questions de Brian Rudkin tout à l'heure, les choses ne tombent pas toujours du ciel. Elles sont provoquées par l'humain. Voilà. Effectivement, les incidences climatiques, nous les provoquons. Et la science nous le démontre. Les conflits, ils ne tombent pas du ciel. Nous les provoquons, les conflits. Nous les entretenons. La solidarité, nous la mettons en œuvre ou pas. L'équité ou pas. Tout ça, ce sont des prises de conscience qu'à l'instant où nous parlons, on peut rester optimiste si vraiment nous avons la capacité à agir dans le sens que nous souhaitons ou que nous pouvons influencer. Alors, ça part des sociétés civiles, ça part de la connaissance, les sociétés civiles, ça passe par nos responsables politiques, puisque finalement, c'est eux aussi qui mettent en œuvre. Et c'est ce fluide, je dirais, cette fluidité que nous avons besoin dans nos sociétés, que nous appelons, à travers le travail que nous menons en commun, qui fait que connecter, hein, puisqu'après, ce sont toutes les organisations qui sont dans ce forum One Sustainable Health qui implémentent, qu'elle soit une entreprise, qu'elle soit une ONG, une fondation, un labo de recherche. On a ensemble, je dirais, partie des scientifiques, pendant le confinement, créé cet espace de discussion pour que chacun après puisse en tirer des enseignements appliqués. Voilà, c'est d'être inter-silos, même s'il nous faut les silos, les verticalités, c'est ce que nous travaillons. Alors voilà, c'était les remerciements. Je remercie toutes les personnes de l'équipe aussi de la Fondation Une Santé Durable pour tous qui permettent ces réalités, là, Jennifer, Joël qui sont là, et d'autres qui sont, Lauriane, qui sont en ligne, Casimiro, je ne peux pas tous les citer, Augusto, pour le travail, notre traducteur, les panélistes, les participants. Et puis, je vous donne un rendez-vous pour la suite. On aura, comme l'a annoncé Brian, la semaine prochaine, une session à Budapest dans le cadre de la présidence européenne de l'Europe. Et nous aurons l'occasion d'affirmer à nouveau ces points. Nous sommes passés aujourd'hui, grâce à vous, votre implication dans ce side event du Paris Peace Forum, qui va nous permettre, comme l'a dit Chiara, qui est co-chair, comme l'a dit aussi Myriam, hein, de pouvoir nous imprégner dans nos travaux de ces aspects-là, de pouvoir compter sur votre implication et de suivre ça ensemble. Ce sont des petits bouts de cailloux qui sont sur un chemin. Ils comptent et ils s'additionnent à ce que font beaucoup d'autres et pour ensuite, ensemble, essayer de peser davantage. Voilà, un grand merci pour ces échanges et nous vous donnons rendez-vous à très bientôt pour un prochain événement, notamment la semaine prochaine, puis le 2 décembre à Bruxelles, et puis ensuite à la OSH Academy le 12 décembre. Vous pourrez suivre ces nouvelles sur les posts LinkedIn. Voilà, à bientôt. On peut applaudir tout le monde, je crois. Merci.